I'm Chris Smith, known as Shockwave, and I'm on Team Carbon. I got my start in pro gaming all the way back in the Halo 1 days. I played a bunch online on Xbox Connect, and then I found out about a tournament in Philadelphia called Halo Nationals by MLG, which was either late 2003 or early 2004. And when I went, I kind of fell in love with it all. I guess my first and foremost favorite moment was going to Boston. It was probably one of the funniest weekends of my life. We just hung out the entire weekend. I mean, we were playing serious matches, and we'd do something so funny, and things would get out of hand on our side that we'd actually laugh. Couldn't stop laughing for an entire game, where we'd end up losing the game, but we wouldn't care because we were having such a good time playing. The other one would be winning Orlando, which was my first tournament win over Final Boss.
Sand in the middle, one shot. Open. Yeah. He's done.
So that was really, the biggest moment I ever had. It was wow, we just dethroned the Kings of Halo 2. That Orlando win was out of control. It was out of this world. I mean, I remember I was happy for the next month and a half. Still thinking about that win. And then my next biggest moment would have to have been the National Championships of 2006.
Does he get the kill? Yeah. Carbon wins the championship.
When we won that, it was kind of a reward for all the hard work we put in for the entire year and for me and my Halo career.
No longer a Cinderella story. They are the undisputed top team in MLG and the 2006 National Champions.
My biggest competition in MLG would have to be FB, but Straight Rippin' now has become one of the best teams in the circuit, so now we're primarily trying to focus on them as well as FB, but it was more or less a battle with FB for almost a full year. And before that, it would have had to been Straight Rippin' for almost the entire rest of the time I've been with Halo 2. I mean, in the beginning of Halo 2, SDK or 3D was just absolutely dominant. I mean, they couldn't be beaten by anyone else. And my fight was always with Straight Rippin', as we were the second and third best teams, and we'd always battle it out for second and third. And they became easily my rivals at one point. I've always looked up to players, even players that necessarily aren't considered the same skill level as me, but they do a certain thing incredibly well. So I mean, I've always looked up to the Ogres when it comes to Halo. I mean, Halo 1 especially, they were the dominant force in Halo 1. So I've always looked up to how they played, watched how they played, and try to incorporate some of the stuff that they do really well into my gameplay. And it hasn't changed with Halo 2. I mean, Ogre 2 has been voted the best overall player for the last 2 years in the Pro Choice Awards. So I mean, there's one player you look up to, it's probably the best player in the game. It's good to feel that I know that players look up to me sometimes, and it's kind of almost a mutual respect. And I don't know, it's interesting feeling like that after Halo 1, where I wasn't ever looked up to. I always just looked up to everyone. And now in Halo 2, a lot of people look up to me and see how I play. If you want to be an MLG pro, the best thing I can say is for you to practice. When I played Halo 1, I played endless amounts of Halo 1 all the time, non-stop. And I got really good at Halo 1 by the end, but that skill would luckily carried over to Halo 2. And that's why I was able to excel at Halo 2. And I also practiced Halo 2 a ton early in my career. And a lot of people are always saying, oh, I hit a skill cap, or a lot of talk about hitting their potential limit. But the thing is, almost everyone in the gaming has almost an infinite potential when it comes down to it. It just depends on how well you think and how well you're analyzing the game and how you want to practice. I think that if you have natural skill in video games, you will be well off first. You have an advantage in the beginning stages of the game to advance and excel faster than anyone else. So if I'm more individually talented than someone, then if I practice just as much as them, I should be still ahead of them when it comes down to it. But the problem is, it's an old saying, practice beats skill when skill doesn't practice. Being naturally skilled is one thing, but being naturally skilled and practicing is completely different. And so far I've had natural skill in almost every game I've played, and so far I've put in the practice in almost every game I've played. I hope I don't let up, and I hope the practice will help me excel in Halo 3. But even though Halo 3 is a lot different, it's still Halo, and it's still the same type of game, it's still the same principles, And, you know, my mindset really is not going to change too much from Halo 2 to Halo 3. And I'm sure we'll see a ton more new names in the next few years on the circuit when MLG picks up Halo 3. And I think it's going to be really exciting. And I pray to God I'm one of those kids that my skill carries over extremely well to Halo 3.